On July 28th, Acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf issued a memo rescinding prior memos that purported to terminate the DACA program and stating that he will reconsider the DACA program in light of the Supreme Court's decision. On August 21st, almost a month later, USCIS finally issued guidance implementing the Wolf memo. The Wolf memo and USCIS guidance make several important changes to the program. First of all, no new initial DACA applications will be accepted. USCIS will reject and return the fees for any initial applications submitted by people who have never received a grant of DACA. Also, DACA grants are going to be limited to 1 year moving forward. If you've already been granted a DACA, or if your client has already been granted a DACA for 2 years, that stays valid, but moving forward after July 28th, they will all be granted for 1 year. DACA renewal applications will also should not be submitted more than 150 days in advance now. So prior to this guidance, USCIS would generally tell people to submit their applications between 120 and 150 days prior to their current DACA expiring. However, now what USCIS is saying is they will actually reject those applications if they're submitted more than 150 days in advance. Also, under the USCIS guidance and the Wolf memo, advanced parole based on DACA will only be granted in exceptional circumstances. This is actually a change from both the DACA program originally and also the DACA program underneath the court orders for the last 3 years. The memo lists some examples of what could be considered exceptional circumstances, so it would be good to read through those closely. It also makes the point that the admittance at the border of someone on advanced parole is always subject to CBP discretion. However, it's important to note that if you already, or if your client already had an advanced parole application pending, USCIS plans to reject those advanced parole applications so that the applicants can file under the new guidance. However, under the USCIS guidance and the Wolf memo, some things about the DACA program actually stay the same. So someone who has had DACA can still renew their DACA status. If the person's DACA status has expired within the past year, they can file a renewal application. If the person's DACA status has expired more than a year ago, they can file an initial application. Also staying the same is that USCIS will follow the information sharing policy of the original DACA program, which is in the DACA FAQs on the USCIS website. This is sort of a broad brush overview of what the USCIS guidance and the Wolf memo say, but for more detailed information, you should check out AILA's practice alert titled USCIS Guidance Implementing DHS Memo Reconsidering the DACA Program.